Hello, everyone, and welcome to your Monday evening restorative. We're going to start our practice tonight in Shavasana. So just finding yourself flat on your back with all of the props that you would like to support your practice. Just making yourself comfy, cozy, maybe with a blanket, a few pillows. And just starting to relax the body down, closing the eyes, and connecting with the breath. You might lick the lips and swallow to release any tension accumulating in your jaw. And just start to soften the muscles of the face and throat. Feeling the weight of your body being fully supported by the mat beneath you. And just starting to let go of any effort. Getting heavier and heavier. And as the body continues to deepen into this state of relaxation, begin to deepen your inhales through the nose and lengthen your exhales. Looking to really bring all of your awareness to the simple, subtle act of breathing so that you might bring yourself more fully into the present moment. Allowing your body to relax and your mind to still and quiet. Just watching the breath as it travels in and out of the body. Nothing that the mind needs to do or accomplish. And so staying here in your body, in your breath, in this moment. This is our practice of non-doing. And in a world that is filled with so much to achieve and accomplish, a world that is fixated on productivity, it actually takes great effort for us to release the doing so that we can settle into this sense of being. And so the only efforts that I want you to exert this evening is in staying present to this moment. Watching the mind as it tries to pull you into thoughts and away from now, and then releasing the thought and coming back into the moment. And this practice is at the very heart of yoga, which is considered by many to be a mental science. It is this idea in yoga that we call pratyahara, which is this idea of withdrawing from our senses in so that we are not the slave to our desires, but we can accomplish the witness aspect of self that sort of watches the desires, the cravings, the things that attempt to really pull us into the world. And we can create that mental discipline that we are the master of the mind instead of a servant to it. Now we're going to take a little bit of a physical journey through the shoulders, looking to increase our range of motion and release any tension that we might find in the head, the neck, the shoulders, and the upper spine. So prepare for our first pose, beginning to bring some gentle movements into your fingers and your toes. Rotating through wrists and ankles. And very slowly, you're going to draw the body all the way up to seated. And you'll reach for a blanket here. Looking for a blanket that you can begin to roll, or a towel, whatever is most handy. Something that you can roll into a little bundle, and how thick you have it is going to depend on how open the shoulders feel. So yours might be kind of more short in its width, but if you're looking for something not so long, roll it a little longer in its width so that it's not as thick. And then we're going to place this blanket or towel just behind us. And what we're looking to do is take our hands to either side and then begin to lower the spine down in a place where the shoulder blades are going to be able to lift up and over the blanket, coming all the way down onto the back of the head, and taking the arms up and overhead, beginning to relax the legs. And from here, begin to reconnect to that depth of your breath. The inhales and the outhales as you start to soften the body down into the blanket or towel. Notice in any ways that you might be resisting fully surrendering, and see what that means. If it's perhaps a little bit uncomfortable and you need to make an adjustment, maybe you've rolled up too thick and it's just not comfortable to relax into. Then once you've made any adjustments that you might need, see if you can begin to really just settle the full weight of the body down into the mat. And breathe deeply here. The whole principle behind this concept, pratyahara, or the withdrawal from senses. In classical yoga, it was believed that every single experience creates suffering. It was believed that experiences that were joyful and full of pleasure would ultimately eventually be over, thus bringing suffering as a result of the absence of good times, good experiences, good memories. And that, of course, bad experiences are bad in and of themselves and bring suffering. And so the idea is that so long as we attend to our desires or clinging to good experiences that ultimately have to end and create suffering, and our aversion of experiences that do not make us feel good, that we ultimately create suffering for ourselves unnecessarily. And so it was the ancient yogis who began to practice this idea of withdrawing from their senses. And they had practiced this in quite a literal way, which when we look at it now might seem harsh. But I think it's actually such a beautiful practice for modern times. In a world where we tend to lack discipline. We tend to lack discipline in how we spend our spare time, and the foods that we choose to put into our body, foods and beverages and substances. We tend to lack discipline when it comes to prioritizing self-care and balance, and yet we strive for over-productivity. And so bringing a little bit of this idea of pratyahara, or withdrawal from senses, into our practice off the mat is really a beautiful way to connect with the deeper roots of this practice. Now, the way that this could show up in class is perhaps playing with an itch that you won't scratch.
coming to complete stillness in your pose and refusing to even address the senses that say scratch the itch. The mind is a beautiful servant, but a very poor master. And so we want to become more conscious. This is the purpose of our yoga practice. That in becoming more conscious, that we become the master of the thinking mind. Check in with your body and notice if there's any tension. Lick the lips and swallow, relax the shoulders, heavy the arms. Just a few breaths longer here. Deepening the inhales and lengthening the exhales. Very, very slowly, starting to bend into your knees, drawing your chin into your chest, and either rolling off to one side or taking hands just behind the thighs as we help the body all the way upright. Now we can go ahead and take the rolled up blanket and just set it underneath the knees here, taking the knees nice and wide. You're going to reach the arms forward and take the right hand to the left shoulder, the left hand to the right shoulder. Inhale, lengthen your spine long. And as you exhale, begin to reach your elbows forward, as far forward as possible before we begin to fold. You might even bring the elbows down towards the rolled up blanket, or maybe you place a block on top, resting the elbows there. Wherever you find yourself, allow your head, your neck, your shoulders to hang heavy here. Really deepen your inhale and feel the space between your shoulders lift and separate. And settle into your forward fold. It's the same idea of pratyahara, the withdrawal from senses, that actually keeps us committed and devoted to our yoga poses. It is that voice of the mind that says, oh, let's just make this a little easier. But in that withdrawal from senses, we say, no, the body can handle this. And we commit to 5 more breaths or whatever it is. Really feel the breath as you breathe in and out, using the breath as a way to almost offer a little bit of a massage to the body here. Remember, there is nothing for the mind to achieve, so stay present to your breath, to the sensations within your body. Deepening your inhales and lengthening your exhales. Allow your breath to be fluid and your body to be heavy. Maybe moving your head from left to right. Noticing Any part of the body that wants to back off to make this easier. And we always want to weigh this against what is true. If it is true that we have taken ourselves beyond discomfort into pain, then absolutely we need to back off. If that is not true, then this is just the way that the mind works in trying to create a more pleasant moment. This is constantly the way that the mind is operating in trying to push away any moments that seems undesirable and really draw those moments that seem more pleasurable into our experience. This is not necessarily always wrong, but it's this idea that we're chasing moment to moment to moment, and we're never really fully satisfied in the now. The practice of yoga is really about becoming equanimous. So it's a state of equilibrium that the external world has no effect on the internal world. Allow your breaths to continue to deepen and lengthen. Settling into your forward fold. Just a few more breaths here. Slow and steady breaths. Last 3. On your next exhale, very slowly begin to drag the body all the way back upright. This time, we're going to take our bolster the length of our spine. If we don't have a bolster, 2 blocks with your rolled up blanket or towel on top. We'll take that bolster right towards the base of the spine, beginning to lower the back down on top. Arms nice and wide. Allowing the heart to open. We really want to take those arms as wide as possible and as high as possible, looking to create space in the shoulders, across the chest. If it feels good, you might even reach the arms overhead and grab 4 opposite wrists or forearms. Allow your breath to be full as you feel the ribs expand and contract. Bringing the mind back into this moment. In Zen philosophy, they have a saying about the busy thinking mind. And it's this idea that we are so afraid to quiet the mind, to discover what lays beneath it, that we fill every single ounce of time with anything, no matter how trivial or boring, just to make sure that we're never left alone with this unnerving stranger that is ourself in those quiet moments. We've all met those people that just can't be alone, or perhaps we are that person that can't be alone, that struggles in alone time.
It's as if we are afraid to meet ourselves. When a little bit of peace and quiet is all that it takes to be introduced to the deepest, most profound aspects of who we truly are. This is the gift that meditation offers us. This is why part of this concept of pratyahara, or withdrawal from senses, is so important. Because so long as we are distracted by the senses of the body that keep us being pulled into this world, it'll be very difficult for us to quiet the mind in order to meet ourselves in this place of stillness, spaciousness. Notice exactly what you're feeling in the body here as you lean into the breath. Notice any parts of you that feel like they are resisting, and see if you can surrender. Just 5 more breaths. Deepening the inhale and lengthening the exhale. Very, very slowly. You might roll off to one side or begin to bend into the knees, using the forearms and the hands to help the body back upright. Now we're going to turn and face our bolster and turn it onto its side now, horizontally across the mat, coming into child's pose. And you'll either reach your forearms forward and rest those while you bring the forehead down towards the mat. Or if you're looking for more sensation that's a little more intense, you'll walk your elbows to the very edge of that bolster. Seeing if we can slip the face and the head just in between, the space between the bolster and the space between the legs. And this just makes it so that the elbows come a little bit higher than the shoulders themselves, starting to open up across the back of the body here. Breathing in and out through the nose as we surrender the arms and the weight of the upper body down into our child's pose. See, one of the major reasons that all experience is perceived as suffering is mostly when we are in attachment to feeling pleasure versus pain. When we begin to come a little bit more neutral, the philosophy of yoga begins to show us that every single thing that happens in suffering can be transmuted to grace. And so in ancient yoga philosophy, suffering is used as a tool for purification. And this is taken literally and physically. This is why we see so many austere practices coming from some of the more ancient forms of yoga. But this is also taken into our lives off the mat. That all suffering is a tool for purification of self, of mind. It's sort of like anything that you've experienced that perhaps was no good when it was happening, but it has offered you new perspective that you wouldn't trade for the world. You wouldn't want to go through it again, but you're grateful for the lessons that it has brought in hindsight. And in the same way that we find discomfort in our yoga poses, we recognize that the sensations that we are feeling are actually leading to self-transformation. That in order to cultivate more flexibility, we must go through the process of discomfort. Sometimes we become a little less resistant to this when it's a life lesson versus a physical body lesson. Like lockdown, for example. Or having lost work or contact with friends and family. And if we take this idea from yoga philosophy, in what way can we use the suffering of this moment to purify, to transform ourselves? Perhaps maybe all we need is just to cultivate more patience, more compassion. Take a few really deep rounds of breath here, sinking into the shoulders. Noticing what exactly you're feeling where. And see if you can relax and surrender. Very, very slowly starting to walk ourselves all the way back up to seated. Taking our props off to the side. Have them handy just in case. We're going to come all the way down to the belly here. And from the belly, we'll extend the right arm out to the right side, palm facing down, shoulder drawing down into the mat. Your left fingertips will come underneath your left shoulder. And we'll begin to press the body onto our right side with right arm out to the side. You'll rest your temple down. You might pull your knees in to fetal position, or perhaps keeping both legs straight, you'll lift the left leg, bend into the left knee, and just step the sole of the foot behind the right leg for support. Left arm can rest heavy as it is, or we can start to take the back of the left hand towards the low back. Finding your breath. Deepening your inhales and lengthening your exhales. Noticing all of the places in which we're feeling sensation and see if we can identify what exactly is happening in the body. We don't have to be anatomy gurus to understand that there is kind of a burning sensation at the right shoulder blade. Or there's an intense pulling across the right shoulder, front of the right shoulder. Just exploring the body with our mind's eye, with our awareness and understanding, and just putting a label to what exactly it is that we're feeling. In this way, we keep the mind present to the moment. Relax your head and your neck. Like your lips and swallow, softening your jaw. Remembering there is nothing to achieve, nothing to accomplish, just the awareness of your breath as it travels in and out of your body.
Can we find comfort within discomfort? Being able to do so transforms our life experiences. And it's all something that occurs at the level of the mind. Big breath in. And as you exhale, let's come all the way back to the belly. Bending into your right arm and taking it under the shoulder as you extend the left arm. Placing left shoulder down and rolling onto the left side of the body. Resting the head. And then again, deciding what to do with the legs. You might pull the knees in for fetal position, or you might keep both legs straight. Lifting right leg and stepping the right toes just behind the left leg. Right arm can rest heavy as it is, or we might reach it to the sky, bending the elbow, taking the back of the hand to the low back. Breathe deeply here and surrender the weight of your body down. Notice what it feels like. And see if you can relax, surrender. Again, we never want to lean into anything that's painful, but we do want to come to the very edge of our discomfort. If the mind needs to wander, allow it to wander to the various sensations that we might be experiencing in the body. Holding our awareness on our breath. Using the breath as a tool to create a little bit more space in the body. Deepening the inhales. Lengthening the exhales. Very, very, very slowly. Beginning to unwind. And coming all the way back down onto the belly. Walking hands forward and coming up onto our forearms here. We'll begin to just find a different type of stretch. So placing the right arm forward. We're going to take the right hand and walk it underneath the left arm all the way over to the right, to the left side rather, as far left as we can take that right arm. And then you have two options. You can reach the left arm forward and down as you rest the chin on the tricep or pillow or blanket or block. If you're looking for a little bit more sensation, you can walk your left hand as far right as it will go. Wherever you find yourself, really rest your chin firmly on one of your arms and sink deeply into this place. Using your breath as a tool to deepen your sensation as you inhale. And notice what it feels like to breathe here. Heavying the weight of the body down. Relaxing the legs. Relaxing the head, the neck, the shoulders. Allowing your mind to wander to any points of sensation, just keeping the mind here in this experience instead of wandering elsewhere. It's almost like we could use the breath as a tool for navigation to really understand what's taking place in the body here. Last 5 breaths. In and out through the nose. Very, very slowly, as you are ready, starting to uncross. Extending both arms forward. And preparing for the other side, walking left hand all the way over to the right. And then again, we might just reach right arm forward and down, resting all the weight of the body onto that left shoulder. Or if we have a little bit more space for discomfort, we might walk the right hand all the way over to the left. And settling into this place, relaxing the head, the neck, the shoulders. Allowing the breath to completely fill and completely empty the body. Settling the body down, getting heavier and heavier. Relaxing the jaw, the face. The body is heavy. Notice the way that it feels to breathe here. I'm looking to increase the sensation with every breath in. Very, very, very slowly, wherever you are, beginning to unwind. Taking hands just beside the ribs and pressing the hips back towards the heels, child's pose. This time, walking hands back towards the feet and allowing the shoulders to drape heavily over the knees. Breathing in and out through the nose and really feeling the spine lift and lower.
Very slowly starting to rise all the way up to seated. And we'll come to seated on a folded blanket or a block. Making sure that we're comfortable in this position. Spine tall, shoulders moving down away from ears. Close your eyes. Lift your shoulders up, back, and down so that the heart is open. And begin to drop your left ear towards your left shoulder, walking your right fingertips long off to the right side. Left ear heavy to the left shoulder, right shoulder actively pushing down, right fingers walking away from the body. Just breathe into this sensation here. We never want to move past our ability to breathe deeply, but you'll start to notice as you breathe deeply, you can start to tap into the nervous system here. Deepening the breath in through the nose. Lengthening the breath out through the nose. You can play around with sensation here by lifting and kind of hovering the right fingertips away from the floor, noticing how this changes the way that the sensation is. Perhaps starting to work its way up the arm. Notice even the way that this stretches out the muscles of the throat, the neck, the jaw. As you continue to heavy the left ear to the left shoulder. If you're looking for a little bit more sensation, you might even bend into the right elbow, taking the back of the hand to rest at the low back. Continuing to lengthen your spine, dropping left ear to left shoulder, find your breath. Notice the sensation for head, neck, and shoulders. Just a few breaths more. If you're looking for more sensation, even still, we can reach the right fingers to grab a hold of the left biceps or elbow crease. Heavying left ear to left shoulder. Now, wherever you are with the arms, stay there. Begin to turn your gaze towards your left knee. And then see if you can tuck your chin into your left collarbone. And reconnect with your breath. Deepening the breath in. Lengthening the breath out. Last big breath in. And as we exhale, release the arms, right palm back to the right knee. Straighten the head and neck and just glance from left to right. Turning the neck slowly. And when you're ready, we'll find the same thing on the other side. So lengthening the spine. Heavying the right ear to the right shoulder. And walking left fingertips out to the left side. Dropping left shoulder nice and low. So actively heavying the left shoulder. And breathe deeply here. Notice all the sensations that are involved.
Notice where you find tension here. Tension in the head, the neck, the jaw, the weight of the world on the shoulders. Just letting it all go as we heavy that left shoulder. Again, you might play around with sensation by hovering the left fingertips away from the floor, arm outstretched. Continuing to lengthen the spine and just heavy right ear to right shoulder without leaning right. Just observing, witnessing all of the sensations here. Notice what it feels like to breathe. Notice how we're even stretching the inner muscles of the esophagus here. Now, if you're looking for more sensation, you might bend into the left elbow, taking the back of the hand towards the low back, continuing to lengthen your spine, heavying left shoulder as you drop right ear towards right shoulder. Breathe deeply here. Deepening your inhales. Lengthening your exhales. And if you need any more sensation, you'll reach your left fingertips to grab a hold of your right bicep or elbow crease. Continuing to lengthen the spine, heavying the right ear towards the right shoulder. Notice all the sensations as you deepen the breath. Notice how much tension we carry here and just start to release it consciously. Now, without changing anything for the arms, just beginning to shift the gaze towards your right knee. And then nestling your chin in towards your right collarbone. Deepening the breath in and lengthening the breath out. Enjoying your last few breaths here. Very, very slowly. Starting to unwind the arms, left hand to the left thigh. And just begin to look from left to right. Slow and steady. On your inhale, sweep your arms up towards the sky. Interlace the fingers. And as you exhale, lean towards the right. Big breath in here. Exhale fully. Again, breathe in. Exhale, release. Big breath in. Exhale, release. Inhale to rise. And exhale, reach left. Big breath in. Exhale, release. Big breath in. Exhale, release. Big breath in. Exhale, release. On the inhale, rise up. And on the exhale, release your hands down.
Begin to make our way into our most comfortable Shavasana. Feeling free to take one of the variations that we started, or not started with, but one of the variations that we started with. Or perhaps just that nice heart opening pose with the bolster or blocks laid vertically, resting the spine. Taking any final movements that the body might be asking for as you make your way to seated. Reclined rather, to Shavasana. And we're going to settle into a nice comfortable place for our final journey inwards. Closing the eyes down. And licking the lips and swallowing, relaxing your jaw, your throat, all the muscles in your face. Relax. Body growing heavier and more comfortable with each breath. Take a nice deep breath in. And as you exhale, let go of anything in your mind that takes you away from this precious present moment. Becoming aware of any sounds around you. And letting any sound from now on just relax you even more. We'll go on a journey to connect you with your spirit animal, a guide in animal form, a valuable ally who can help you navigate through life's challenges and transitions. This animal may have appeared to you before in meditations, visions, dreams, or perhaps you come across it in physical form in your waking life. This animal could be anything, a mammal, bird, or reptile, a fish, or even a mythical creature. Continue to breathe in and breathe out, relaxing from the top of your head to the tips of your toes. Closing your eyes. Imagine walking in a bright forest, lush with green in every shade. And in the distance, you see a giant tree. You begin to walk towards it, feeling the warm summer air brush against your cheeks as you make your way closer and closer to this big tree. As you approach, you see that there are roots growing deeply down into the earth. Some have lifted. Then you see that there is an opening at the base of the tree trunk, large enough for you to crawl through. As you approach this opening, you sense that it is welcoming and warm. And so you begin to crawl into the opening at the base of the tree,
finding that there is a little ladder built in to the dirt wall in which you can climb down, down, deep into the earth. Begin to feel the temperature change as you lower your body down into the cavern of the earth. Just when you're not sure you could go down any further, you reach the end. Your feet hit solid ground underneath where you can hear a stream trickling in the background. You can feel the damp, cool earth beneath your feet. You are safe and surrounded with loving light. Breathe in now and smell the fragrances that are natural and calming as you continue to step forward on this new path. Take all the time you need to visualize this space like a forest beneath the forest. Water rushing in the background. Beautiful breeze blowing through the trees. You begin to become aware of a familiar presence in this underground forest. Your spirit guide is approaching you or sending you a signal. Take your time to connect in some way, opening your senses to this animal companion waiting here just for you, bringing itself closer and allowing you to be curious. Connect with this animal and ask it if it has a message, a teaching, or a healing for you today. Allow your spirit and your imagination to communicate through the wonderful avenues that animal brothers and sisters can provide to us. Allow this connection to continue to deepen and unfold. And slowly and gradually now, as you receive whatever insights or gifts or healings are being offered, remind yourself and your spirit animal that you can return and connect whenever you choose. Their energy is always there for you, always, as this connection has now brought you an embodied awareness of your animal companion within you. Thanking your guide for introducing themselves today. We say goodbye and look for that familiar ladder from which you descended. Let's begin to climb back up, up, up to the forest floor where this all began. Bringing your awareness now into your body as you lay on the floor on your mat. Deepening your inhale and increasing your awareness of your breath as you exhale. Inviting some small movements into your fingers and your toes, your wrists and your ankles. Bringing one hand to the heart and one hand on top of the first hand. We'll close our practice by repeating Shanti, 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 the Sanskrit word for peace, as an offering to ourselves, to our loved ones, and to the world at large. Breathe in through the nose, fill up. Exhale through the mouth. Inhale through the nose. And repeat silently or aloud with me. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Peace, peace, peace. Take your time. Coming to seated from this relaxed position. And have an absolutely beautiful rest of the evening. Thank you so much for joining.